The NFL might not be ready for the son of primetime. Deion was a legend and impacted the game at a time when social media was non-existent. But now, college football fans have witnessed the rise of his son, Shedeur Sanders. He is one of the top NIL athletes in the country. He gets personal QB coaching from the GOAT, Tom Brady. He's not free of haters, but it is hard to doubt the hype building up around Shedeur and his team in Boulder, Colorado. Shedeur Sanders, his father, and Travis Hunter have been a trio that has taken the college football world by storm. In 2022, the Colorado Buffaloes won only one game and were one of the most hopeless teams. However, within just 1 year of Shedeur taking over at quarterback, Deion coaching, and Hunter serving as the team's top receiver and cornerback, they became a Cinderella team that drew a lot of eyeballs and attention to the collegiate level. Sanders has proven himself to be one of the most talented rising quarterbacks in college and has a bright future in front of him in the pros. Today, we will cover Shedeur's football journey at each phase, including his childhood, high school career, college recruitment, collegiate journey, and what his future in the NFL could be to answer the overarching question of how good Shedeur Sanders is. Shedeur Sanders was born on February 7, 2002 in Tyler, Texas, to Deion Sanders and Pilar Biggers. Both of his parents have a long list of accolades. His father, Deion, was one of the greatest defensive backs that the NFL has ever seen, and Pilar has spent time working as an actress, model, and TV producer. Shedeur received great genetics, but he was raised to have a work ethic and began playing football at the age of 8, and has always had a love for the game due to watching his dad be in the sport while growing up. In 2011, Deion and Pilar separated, causing Shedeur to move in with Deion. In high school, Shedeur would play both football and basketball at Trinity Christian in Cedar Hill, Texas. In football, he would serve as the team's quarterback while he played guard in basketball. He took over as the starting quarterback in his freshman year. His dad was the school's offensive coordinator, but Shedeur would quickly prove that he belonged. Over his 3-year high school career, Sanders would throw for 8,925 yards, 123 touchdowns, and 19 interceptions, while picking up an additional 198 yards and 22 touchdowns on the ground. He only played basketball in his freshman year before deciding to focus strictly on football. After an impressive high school career, Shedeur would catch the eyes of scouts around the country. ESPN graded him a 4-star rating. He ranked as the 8th best prospect in the state of Texas, the 9th best in the region, the 13th best quarterback, and 61st on ESPN's Top 300. He received offers from some of the top programs in the country like Alabama, Arizona State, Baylor, Florida, Florida Atlantic, Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Louisville, LSU, Memphis, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, South Carolina, Syracuse, Tennessee, UCF, and UCLA. Sanders would initially commit to Florida Atlantic, but he would make the shocking move of decommitting and signing with Jackson State. For those close to the situation, it made total sense. Going to Jackson State allowed him to continue being coached by his dad, whom he fully trusted to put him in the best situation to further his development as a quarterback and ultimately achieve his goal of making it to the NFL. Deion believes in Shedeur's ability as a quarterback more than any coach in the country, and he wants to give him the platform to prove his abilities. He believes that if Shedeur were to choose another coach or team, the world would only know him as a running quarterback and not as a true passing quarterback. Deion was one of the most athletic players of his time, and Shedeur definitely takes after him, but that is not what Deion wants his son to be known for, and Shedeur embraces that leadership from his dad to form one of the best stories in the game. Sanders would get off to a hot start in his collegiate career. He immediately started as the team's quarterback and did not disappoint. He threw for 3,231 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions while completing 65.9% of his passes, leading Jackson State to a record of 11-1 and earning a bid to the Cricket Celebration Bowl, where they took on South Carolina State. Sanders would struggle in this matchup, finishing the game with 175 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, completing only 44.4% of his passes. The performance was out of character for the typical hyper-accurate and elite decision-maker that Shedeur was proving himself to be. It was clear that the bowl game performance left a sour taste in the mouths of both Sanders and Jackson State as a whole. He would have another incredible year in his second season, throwing for 3,732 yards, 40 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Jackson State would finish the regular season with a perfect 12-0 record, winning by a combined score of 456 to 135. They would once again earn a spot in the Cricket Celebration Bowl, where they took on North Carolina Central. The final score was a 41-34 loss in overtime. However, the bright lights did not get to Sanders this time, and it is almost impossible to place any of the blame for the loss on him. He threw for 349 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, while completing 75% of his passes. After that 2022 season, it was clear that Shedeur, Deion, and Travis had outgrown Jackson State. Deion accepted a head coaching job at Colorado, which opened the door to programs around the country to make their pitches to court Shedeur and Travis away from Coach Prime. They would turn down hundreds of thousands of dollars to remain loyal to Prime and the process, and they would both transfer to Colorado. Coming into the season, many did not know what to make of the program. While they had some talented players, it seemed inconceivable that they would be enough to completely revive one of the worst college football programs in the country. Shedeur and the Buffaloes would shock the football world in the opening week of the 2023 season, taking down TCU in a 45-42 shootout. TCU was coming off of a trip to the national championship the season prior and came into the game as over 20-point favorites. However, Sanders would pick apart their defense, completing 38 of 47 pass attempts for a school record 510 yards and 4 touchdowns, and making up for the poor defensive performance of his own team. After this incredible game, Colorado would break into the top 25, being ranked as the 22nd best team in the country. In the following week, they took down Nebraska in a dominant 36-14 win. This would move them up to 18th in the top 25 rankings before their rivalry matchup against Colorado State. While many expected this to be another big win for the Buffaloes, Colorado State would give them a run for their money after Travis Hunter was forced to exit the game after taking a huge blow from an apparent targeting hit. Despite this major loss, they would still escape with a 43-35 win. However, this close game would bump them down to 19th in the standings. In the following 2 weeks, they would take on 2 of the top teams in the country, Oregon and USC. The holes in the Colorado roster would begin to show in these matchups, and despite solid performances from Shedeur, it would not be enough for them to win either matchup. Moreover, they would show resilience in the next week and win their first conference game of the season against Arizona State. It appeared they would follow this up with another win over Stanford in Week 7. Shedeur was cooking that game and had his best performance of the year statistically, completing 33 of 47 passes for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But due to a second-half collapse, Colorado blew more than a 20-point lead, losing by a final score of 46-43 in double overtime. After the Stanford loss, the Buffaloes would lose out the remaining games on their schedule. Shedeur ended the year completing 69% of his passes, 298 of 430 for 3,230 yards, 27 touchdowns against 3 interceptions. These types of numbers on a losing team showcase the talent that Shedeur is. He has proven himself as one of the most talented quarterbacks in all of college football. If he had a stronger defense supporting him, Colorado would have had a much better record. Going into the 2024 season, Coach Prime and his staff are making strong efforts to land more talent to compete with the best and vie for the chance at the playoffs in what will be Shedeur's final year in college. Currently, many scouts do not have Sanders ranked outside of the top 5 quarterbacks. While it is almost impossible to predict how draft night trends will play out and cause certain players to have their stock rise or fall, it is very difficult to see Sanders being drafted outside of the first round when he decides to go pro. Some have even predicted him to go into the top 10 of the 2023 draft class. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said that Shedeur could easily be the top pick in the draft. With that type of praise from the owner of America's team, you would think that Shedeur would forego his senior season at Colorado. Still, he remains loyal to his father and desires to lead his team one last time before heading to the league. That, in and of itself, shows a level of character that a lot of teams would want in a franchise quarterback. Haters will say that he wants to be protected by his daddy, but if everyone were honest, we would all want our dads to fight for us the way Deion fights for his sons and team. Shedeur has received mentoring and high praise from the legendary Tom Brady. When talking about Sanders and the promise that he sees in him, Brady was quoted as saying, "I'm so proud of him. Just watching him grow and mature. We all started a certain place and he had a lot of high expectations and he's embraced it. I love him and it just makes me proud to see what he's doing." The two already have a close relationship and will continue to work together as Sanders' career continues in the NFL. If he is drafted by a stable organization that surrounds him with a solid supporting cast, there is no reason why he could not develop into the best quarterback in the NFL. Football fans around the world cannot wait to tune in to watch Shedeur Sanders play every Sunday. If you were a general manager, how high would you take Shedeur Sanders in the draft?